I'm going to keep my real name private in order to protect my identity, so I'll refer to myself as Taylor. The story I'm about to share with you happened to me back in 2015 when I was 22 years old. My then girlfriend, who at the time was the love of my life, had recently broken up with me because I was too immature and she wanted to start thinking about the future, such as buying a house and having kids. I was fresh out of college and wasn't ready for this yet. I wanted to have some fun and experience some of the adolescent life we look forward to throughout the entirety of school. I didn't want to have to make my long-term commitments just yet, so she broke up with me despite my embarrassingly crying and begging. This was real hard for me, and I thought that we had something special and that she would wait for me, but I was wrong and saw that she was already dating other guys. I was in a state of depression and would often lay in my bed just flicking through the various social media apps and liking photos, following cute girls, and even signed up to a couple of dating apps. On this one particular night, this one girl I had recently followed sent me a DM and asked who I was. I explained I didn't really know her, but I thought she was cute and that I didn't mean to seem weird or stalkerish. She sent me a blushing emoji and told me that she thought I was cute too. This was a great ego boost for me, and I didn't really particularly have a lot of confidence, especially with how I was feeling at that particular moment. We passed a couple of messages back and forth, and she explained to me that she was trying to be a model and that this was her lifelong dream. She certainly looked like a model, and to be honest, I still couldn't even believe that she was talking to me. "You could definitely be a model," I replied. She sent another blushing emoji and told me I was cute. She then sent another message asking me to vote for her in a model competition hosted by her local talent agency and sent a link through. I thought at the time that maybe she was playing me in order to just get another vote, but I didn't really care. What if she wasn't and she genuinely liked me? I could end up dating a model, and this was very exciting for me. I clicked on the link in order to cast my vote, and a message came up on the screen. "Link broken." I tried again, and I got the same message. And then, something happened that I really had not braced myself for. The so-called model I was talking to started to send me images of me and my ex that I had not shared on any social media platforms or anywhere else in the public domain. These were pictures of me and my ex, and not pictures that either of us would want to be seen by anyone else but us. They weren't intended for anyone but us. I was shaking, and I was scared. I had that pit feeling in my stomach that you get when you look over the edge of a tall building and your stomach drops. If these pictures got out, I'd have no chance of getting back with my ex. I then received a message asking for the sum of $500 to be sent to an account, or she, if it even was a she, would send these photos to my ex, and all her family and friends, and my family and friends. I was scared, like seriously scared. If I paid the $500, which I didn't have, this creep might still share them, or extort me for even more money. I really didn't know what to do. I decided I had to do everything I could to not let these intimate photos be shared. I asked for 24 hours and told them I would get them the money. They agreed, so I knew, or at least I thought I had some breathing space to come up with a plan, or whatever that would be. I exhausted all my options to raise the money, and eventually had to settle on pawning some of my personal items, my TV, console, and my dad's class ring. I was able to raise the $500 and sent the money across to a private account. I received a thank you message and a smiley emoji. Then I received another message. "I still have the photos. If you go to the police or anyone about this, I will expose them all online." I reluctantly agreed, as there was nothing else I could really do, as they said that they were going to delete the photos, but now they are keeping them as ransom. Shortly after this, me and my ex got back together, and things are better than I could ever wish for. We're engaged to be married next fall, and I'd hate for anything to ruin what we have. She doesn't know about any of this, but The scariest thing just happened. I just received another message.
Hey everyone, we truly appreciate your support. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel for more upcoming stories and exciting content.
My name is Lisa, and I generally don't have a good history when it comes to relationships. I'm often told that I'm too clingy or that I come on too strong early on in the relationship. I'm very simple and I just want to be loved by someone who has similar interests as me, such as live music, days out, and just having day-to-day fun. A simple life. I've tried Tinder and plenty of fish, but I never seem to match with anyone who stays around for more than a date or two at the most, and I'm not exaggerating. I post a lot on social media, such as photos of me in new dresses, just in the hopes of getting some attention, and maybe one day someone will check me out and like what they see enough to have a third date. In today's age, a large majority of people meet through platforms like Instagram and Bumble, so I always tag my location and check into places, which isn't the smartest idea, I know. I don't have many followers, nor do I generally get many likes. It's usually about 5 or so likes per post, and that's usually off my closest friends or family. I'm at home one evening, just watching some trash TV, when I see a notification pop up on Instagram. You have 1 new follower. This is about as exciting as my night usually gets. I checked out the profile, but it just appears to be some kind of spam account. There were pictures, but they were all groups of friends, nothing to indicate who the actual account belonged to, so I just closed the app and went to bed as I was up for work in the morning. When I arose, I followed my usual morning routine, got dressed, had breakfast, and brushed my teeth. I made my way to work and noticed some notifications on Instagram. Johnny has liked your photo. Johnny has liked your photo. Johnny has liked your photo. Johnny had gone through my account and liked every single one of my photos. Now, this seemed a little strange, but I was flattered. I got a sense of butterflies and lust for someone that had liked me, so I decided to send a message. Hey, I noticed you liked all my photos. Do I know you? Johnny instantly saw my message and started replying. No, you don't know me. I saw you check into the corporate bar and grill and really liked your style. Now I was really curious. I didn't even know what Johnny looked like. How sweet, I replied. Can I ask which one you are on your profile? Second on the left. He wasn't the one I was hoping it would be. He appeared a bit short for my liking, but was still relatively good looking. Height wasn't exactly a deal breaker for me. We were getting on really well at this point. Lots of compliments and flirting, and even some genuine laughing out loud. I was smitten with a guy I hadn't even met. After about 2 weeks, he asked me if we could meet up, and he would take me to dinner at the corporate, as he was a regular there and they would look after us. Everything seemed perfect. No red flags or anything to suggest that things would turn out the way they did. As I was getting ready for our date, I was getting butterflies and decided to check on Johnny's profile when I noticed something that I had never noticed before. Johnny didn't follow any other account other than mine. Now, if you know anything about Instagram, you will agree that most people, as soon as they sign up for an account, will follow 10 to 20 people straight away. These are usually close friends, favorite teams, actors, bands, and so on. For him, to follow no one seemed very out of the ordinary. What seemed even more strange is that Johnny only had 2 followers. One was obviously me, but I was curious to know who the other belonged to. I went to check out the other profile, and what I found really disturbed me and made me feel sick to my stomach. It was a duplicate account of my own, like an exact replica. Every picture from my profile in the exact same order with the exact same check-ins. I noticed the color ring around the profile picture that tells you the account has posted a story, and as any normal person would do, I decided to check what they had posted. It was me. Like, not shared pictures of me, but actual pictures of me taken in third person. There were photos of me going to work, photos of me at work, and everything else I had done that day. As I got to the last story, I saw that it was a picture of my front door, and it was uploaded just 3 minutes ago. This person was outside my house. I tried to tell myself that maybe they took the picture yesterday, or maybe it was just a friend playing a joke, but I couldn't be sure, and it certainly didn't feel like a joke. I messaged Johnny to say that I couldn't make our date and said we would rearrange. Johnny never replied. I went to stay at a friend's house that night just in case whoever it was decided to come and visit me in my sleep. I went to check on Johnny's account later that night, and it was closed, along with my fake account. This was a sigh of relief, as I didn't have to break it off with Johnny and make things awkward by giving the opportunity for him to ask questions. My friend reassured me I would be safe there, and after checking the doors and windows what seemed like 100 times, we eventually went to sleep. I woke to a loud scream, and my friend grabbing my arm. As I sat up and looked, there was a man standing in the doorway to the bedroom. We couldn't really see his face, just the silhouette of a man. I was literally speechless. I was too scared to even scream. The man stood forward into the light, smiled, and then just turned around and walked away. We called the police and they came to check the house. There were no signs of forced entry. There was no broken glass. I know we checked all the doors and windows, which could only mean one thing. If it was Johnny, he was already in the house before we went to sleep. I moved back in with my parents after that, and I still live there now. I'm not sure if I could ever live alone again.
The events of this story took place when I was 18 and in my senior year of high school. I'm 27 now and still have horrible flashbacks from that Halloween night. My friends and I liked to party in high school, and Halloween was obviously one of the best nights to go out and party. We got to dress up in sexy outfits and have an excuse to act a little crazy. My friends usually drew all the attention from the guys we went to school with. I was still friends with all the boys, but none of them really ever showed any interest outside of friendship. Anyway, on this particular Halloween, we had a party at my friend Steve's house. Like a lot of high school parties, no one knew how to handle their alcohol. At about 11, the cops had already been called for a noise complaint. The party scattered and everyone ran as to not get detained or get their information taken by police. My friend Amy, who was getting into a car with her boyfriend, told me to jump into the car with her friend Dave, and he would take us to another party, which I begrudgingly decided to do. The car ride was weird. Just him and I, who didn't know each other and didn't really have much to say. Awkward. The car smelled like Slim Jims and body odor and looked rather messy. Dave had a mask, which was on his lap while he was driving. He had a hooded sweatshirt, blue jeans, and brown work boots on to complete the costume. He also had a scraggly beard and greasy hair. I tried asking questions to make the drive less awkward, but He didn't really answer them and didn't seem interested in holding a conversation. Finally, I asked what school he went to, and he responded, "I dropped out of college a year ago." So I asked, "Well, how old are you?" He responded in a shaky, almost nervous voice, I'm 25. This freaked me out a little bit because he was older than me and he just dropped out of college at the age of 25. Also, he was 25 and was just leaving a high school party. Trying not to let him in on the fact that I was kind of nervous, I asked, "So, how do you know Amy?" And he responded in his shaky and unflattering voice. He said, Who's Amy?" I sunk into my seat, pinching my sides, not knowing what to do. "She's the blonde who told me to get in the car with you." He responded with a very stoic, "Oh, her? Yeah. She told me you were single." I didn't respond. I honestly didn't know what to say. Did this guy really not know Amy? Or was he just tipsy and confused? I texted Amy as we were driving to tell her how angry I was, but she didn't answer. About 10 or 15 minutes in the car, which seemed like forever, we arrived at a house. It didn't seem to be a very nice part of town, or at least an area I was accustomed to going to parties. I looked for Amy's car or any car I recognized, but it was just too dark to point anything out. We approached a red door with chipped paint, lit up only by a dull front light. Dave didn't even knock and just walked into the house, so I followed him, hoping to see a familiar face. The house was cold and smelled awful. We walked into the front room, which I assumed would be the living room. It was dirty and had an olive green shag carpet with an old brown couch. The walls were white with chipped paint and stains everywhere. Piles of pizza boxes and beer cans lined the floors. The room was only lit by one lamp that was on the floor, and it gave off a very low light. On the brown couch there was a man and woman sitting very close together, but not really moving. They looked to be passed out or maybe just drunk. We walked into the kitchen, which was just more of the same. Trash and that horrid smell of garbage. In the kitchen there was a man probably in his 20s who looked like he may have been using. He gave Dave a high five and introduced himself to me as Skip. He looked at Dave and back at me and smiled. His yellow teeth and bug eyes made my skin crawl. The other man in the kitchen was an older gentleman, maybe in his 40s or 50s. I couldn't tell. He said nothing and just looked at me. I felt sick to my stomach, and the only reason why I didn't run out of this place was because I had no clue where I was, and had no clue if these people were capable of anything dangerous. Again, I texted Amy with no answer, deciding to not call as my phone only had 5% battery. Dave escorted me into the back room, which was kind of like a screened-in porch. I felt a brief moment of relief seeing about 6 or 7 people out there. There were only 2 girls out of the bunch, and they were half naked and looked like they weighed a maximum of 90 pounds. I could feel everybody staring at me, but at least there was a group of people and I wasn't secluded or alone with this Dave. I know it sounds crazy, but I felt almost safe being around this larger crowd. But this temporary relief faded very quickly when the 2 girls left with all the guys who had been on the porch. They re-entered the house and disappeared out of sight. As I sat in this screened-in room trying to think of my options, Dave finally spoke up and said, "I think you're really cute." I said thanks and kind of shrugged it off. He got up and started to rub my back and began breathing very heavily. After about 5 minutes of the most unpleasant back rub I had ever had, he stepped in front of me and asked if I wanted to go somewhere more private. I said to him in a terrified, cracking voice, I'm sorry, but I'm not that kind of girl." I could see the displeasure and anger in his face, and I could feel the tears coming. Then nothing short of a miracle happened. One of the girls who went inside just a minute before began to scream erratically, swearing and yelling at everyone in the room. Dave ran upstairs, leaving me downstairs in the back room alone, and without even thinking twice, I got up and climbed out the window and ran. I didn't care that I didn't know where I was. I wasn't going to stop until I was to a gas station or a 7-Eleven or something. I was running down the street, staying close to the sidewalk, trying not to bring any attention to myself. After what seemed like a few minutes, I luckily approached a 24-hour Walmart. I walked in and had the night manager call my parents as my cell phone was now dead. It was about 30 minutes from my house and my parents were on their way. Just as I thought I could relax and try to put these horrifying events behind me, Dave and his friend Skip walked into the Walmart. They didn't see me, but I couldn't believe that they were in the same store. They were looking around like they were looking for something or someone. Was it me, or was I being paranoid? The next day, Amy called me and apologized all day, crying and asking what she could do to make it up to me. I got some solace that she confirmed the person I got into the car with was actually Dave and not some random guy, but was still left traumatized thinking about what could have happened. It's been almost 10 years since that night, and I know it could have been a lot worse, and I'm lucky that I was able to leave with no physical harm, but still wouldn't wish the experience I had that night on my worst enemy. I haven't seen Dave, Skip, or any of the people I saw that night, and hope I never do again.